Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we have the first sneak peek for upcoming content and potentially a larger update for the end of July into the beginning of August. So let's check it out. Vacation is the word for summer. Did you know that superheroes go on vacations too? Check out these superheroes enjoying their break while remaining ready for action. Vacation at the beach. Have a splashing time with these superheroes. So the theme is sort of a summertime uniform. We've seen these before for Cable and Enchantress, sort of the summer days, mid-month update kind of thing. Let's take a look at what it looks like over on Twitter. So, well, let's take a look at the sneak peek itself first. So we get a female character holding some ice cream cones, and then boom, Quicksilver comes speeding up to greet her. Now, if you didn't catch it, the design on this character is actually Cindy Moon. It's a little bit tough to see because you're not used to this like swimsuit look, but this is actually a uniform for Silk, which is pretty wild if you ask me. Another touch that I really like about this is after Quicksilver runs over the water, you can see that the water splashes in his wake. So yeah, this is pretty dope, and it's for two completely unexpected characters, two speed type heroes, and both of which already have upgrades, which is the other really nice thing. You know, last year we got Groot, who doesn't have a tier 3 or Transcendence for Christmas. We got White Fox, who doesn't have a tier 3 or Transcendence, and we got Enchantress in the summer, who doesn't have a tier 3 or a Transcendence. So basically only one out of the four thematic sort of holiday uniforms last year was for a character that had an existing tier 3 or Transcendence, or I believe Cable didn't have his tier 3 by then, but he got one this year. Well, okay, so at the time he didn't have one, but maybe, you know, 6 months, 8 months later, he got one. This time around, they're giving it to two existing characters who need it, in my opinion. Silk needs it badly. Like, Silk's terrible. Quicksilver is pretty far behind the meta. He's slowed down a little bit too much. So these are both really good choices, in my opinion, and I really like the fact that these are both for characters that need a uniform but don't need a Transcendence or a tier 3, because if you give the uniforms to characters that are not tier 3 or Transcendent yet, there's a lot of characters to choose from that you could give a uniform to that need reworks, absolutely. But then you'd want that character when they get that summer rework or that Christmas rework, in the case of, you know, Groot, White Fox, Gwenpool, you'd then want them to get a tier 3 or Transcendence. So this sort of knocks down two birds with one stone, in my opinion. So I think this is an excellent choice, especially Silk. We gave them so much flack about these wasted Transcendences for Silk, Elsa, Heimdall, and Sif. So now they've knocked down one of those four with a brand new 2021 rework. Hopefully the other three are not too far behind. So if we go on Twitter, we can actually get a bit more information here. These superheroes and supervillains of Marvel Future Fight's 7.3 update know how to take a break when it's needed. Cool? Effortlessly. So there's actually a lot of information packed into this one little blurb. I don't want to read too much into it as far as like, oh, this is going to be the, you know, I don't want to speculate too much, but at the same time, there is enough here to sort of get some ideas. And then on top of that, for those of you wondering, Danny Koo confirms summertime with Silk and Quicksilver, because some people were still confused whether this was Silk or whether this was someone else. So it's kind of funny to see Danny Koo confirm that. So the reason why I want to focus on this now is twofold. One, it's the 7.3 update. Now, we've seen recently that Marvel Future Fight is not afraid of mixing it up. We sort of got the mid-month update as the main update for June, July, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and then the mid-month, which was 7.2.5, that's how they denominate it, right? 7 something point something point something, and then something point something point 5. That's how they divide. So it'll be like, you know, update 2, update 2.5, update 3, update 3.5. You sort of get what I'm saying. So we've seen that they're not afraid to switch it up. So it's very possible that this update is going to be smaller, and then next week or 2 weeks from now, again, I don't know the exact timing, I don't know the scheduling, but then we could see an actual larger update, which would be It would be timed with the mid-month because it would be more in the middle of August, and it would be titled 7.3.0, but that would be the meteor update, sort of how we got, you know, we just got three new uniforms and 2 new upgrades for Taskmaster and Yelena, but then the bigger update was the 5 new uniforms, the brand new character Monica, right? The sort of bigger Ultimates update in the mid-month. So they could be doing that again this time, or this could just be the first sneak peek for a larger update, and maybe they're just putting these two things together. So it's really you know, up in the air. We're not sure. In the past, they have not done a summer or Christmas update as part of a larger update. It's sort of been a self-contained mid-month smaller update. So it'll be you know, uncharted territory, uncharted waters if that's the case, but it's definitely possible. The other thing that makes me think it's possible that this is just the first sneak peek in a series of sneak peeks is that it says the superheroes and supervillains of their update. Quicksilver and Silk are not villains. Neither of them is a villain. I mean, at some point in time, Quicksilver was a villain, but they've basically moved away from that completely. And all of the recent comics and all of the MCU stuff for Quicksilver is all hero. They want to paint him as a hero, as a good guy, not as a villain. So this should be referring to someone else, which means that there's more to come. The other thing I want to point out, and this was actually pointed out to me, so it's not like I realized this, so kudos to people on Discord, is that last year, if you go back, and I don't have the tweets, or I don't have the pages tagged here to pull it up, but if you go back and look at last year's pattern and this sort of series of events, they did the Summer Days uniforms for Enchantress and Cable, and then just a couple of days later, they teased the first sneak peek for the Inhumans update. It was literally just 2 or 3 days later. So there's multiple different ways that this could pan out. We've got sort of a multiverse ahead of us where there isn't one set timeline for how this is going to go down, which I actually kind of like. I'm really glad that Quicksilver and Silk are getting new uniforms. B, I think both their uniforms look awesome. Like, I didn't even talk about the look of the uniforms. They look really cool. Silk in this still looks a little bit frozen and rigid, but she'll obviously look amazing in motion. You know, Quicksilver's got that JoJo's kind of pose. But yeah, I think the Summer Days uniforms should be really sick this time around. I really appreciate the fact that they've chosen these 2 characters specifically, and that there's no Enchantress type character, if you know what I'm saying. You know, there's no Gwenpool was not that difficult to get back then, but you get what I'm saying. And I'm also very curious to see what is going to happen as far as whether it's just going to be like, there's so many things you can expect from this, right? There's so many different ways this could shake up. We could literally be getting these 2 uniforms tonight or tomorrow or next week, and then we might get a bunch of other sneak peeks and it might be a full update, or it might just be these 2. And then next week, it might be a full update, right? It might be sneak peeks for full update. We don't know. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. In the meantime, I would say consider consider the possibility of transcending Silk. I'm obviously going to be transcending Silk myself, but yeah, it's not necessarily something that everybody can do, but it's not something that I would have even considered a day ago, you know, 2 days ago, a month ago. So I'm actually gonna have to get my Silk up to level 70. She's not even, where is she? She's not even level 70, which is something in and of itself. She's level 66. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to get her to level 70. I'm gonna have to give her Uru, and you know, we're gonna do a before and after video so we can see just how much better this uniform makes her. But it should be a complete rework because she, you know, even more than Quicksilver, hasn't gotten anything for a long time, and that was basically all she got last year. So this is gonna be pretty big for her. She actually has super armor guard. She has super guard break on her 5th skill. Wow, I didn't know that. Interesting. Very interesting. The pieces begin to fall into place. One thing I would like to see for Silk, actually, now that I mention it, is a much better leadership. Her leadership is really bad, so I just genuinely hope they don't keep this leadership. But in general, speed types don't have good leaderships. There are very few speed type characters that have good leaderships. and even among those leaderships, they're not very good, right? So like a speed type character will have a leadership like Winter Soldier, 30% physical attack, or Elsa, 30% physical attack, whereas a combat type will have 55% all attack like Gladiator, or 60% all attack in the case of Abomination and Crescent, or 50% physical attack for Beast, plus 10% crit damage. Again, I'm not saying that speed types need to be the same as combat types. I appreciate that combat types seem to be a bit more leadership focused, and other types are not. It's nice to have a little bit of a separation there, but at the same time, if we look at the majority of speed type leaderships, Ant-Man's leadership is terrible, Black Widow's leadership is terrible, Captain America Sam Wilson's leadership, terrible, Daredevil's leadership, terrible, Luna Snow, Spider-Man's leadership, terrible. You know, Mystique's leadership, only for Mystique. Corvus's leadership, terrible. Unless you're a brand new player and you really need the skill cooldown, right? Spider-Gwen's leadership, it's horrible. Bullseye's got a good leadership, yeah. So it's very much, it's very slim pickings, all speed. It's very slim pickings for speed types and their leaderships. Even Quicksilver as a native tier 2 speed type, all speed and dodge. He could, you know, he could be getting a leadership upgrade. So it'll be interesting to see and see what the breakdown ends up being as far as the update schedule. So make sure you're subscribed here and keeping it locked, because I'm going to be bringing you all of the update news ASAP, so we can figure out, is this a small little ice cream cone of an update? Is this sort of the mid-month being brought to us at the end of July? Or is this the tip of the iceberg? And we're going to have a huge update coming up in the next couple of days with more sneak peeks. Are Silk and Quicksilver, you know, the main show here for the next week or two? Or are they just heralding or sort of signaling a much bigger plane on the horizon? Who knows? But yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.